It's not every day that you hear the President of the United States thank China, but that's exactly what happened recently in what others are calling a slip of the tongue. Now you gotta wonder, was the president thinking of the millions of dollars his family was provided as shown by past banking records? Former President Trump was quick to comment on this gaffe and had very choice words about it. Someone else who has a lot to say to the president was Senator Joe Manchin, who says that the Inflation Reduction Act that he signed on was a complete betrayal. Wow. Now, if you think about it, this entire thing was called the Inflation Reduction Act. Do you guys feel betrayed that it hasn't done anything to reduce inflation? Why even call it that, right? Comment a quick yes or no on that one. Accidents are becoming much more common, and it's not just the train derailments. We are also seeing helicopters colliding over our skies. It's absolutely crazy to see this much turmoil. We're not even halfway through this year yet. And some really surprising and questionable news, there's a judge that actually called on AI or artificial intelligence to decide on the bail of a defendant. You may think that this was a small offense given that they even considered giving a program this decision, but the trial was for murder and assault. Man, what is happening in this world? Now, before I continue, please smash the like button for the video. It totally helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps to branch the channel out to more people who need these updates, and it pushes me to make even more informative and relatable content for you guys. I want you guys to know that I really do appreciate all of your support. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to global happenings, the state of our economy, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, government subsidies, the stock market, the housing market, and everything going on in Washington, D.C. that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, be sure to subscribe and make sure your notification bell is turned on. And for the best way to invest in gold, hit the link in the description down below this video. So President Biden has made quite a few public errors. Ain't nobody gonna argue that, right? Errors that usually confuse me when I'm trying to confirm what he's saying within his speeches. Now, this time around, the mistake was incredibly clear. Check this out.
So today, I applaud China for stepping up. I applaud Canada. You can tell what I'm thinking about China. I won't get into that yet. I applaud Canada for stepping up with similar programs, opening new legal pathways for 1,500 migrants to come to Canada from countries in the Western Hemisphere. At the same time, the United States and Canada will work together to discourage unlawful border crossings and fully implement the updated Safe Third Country Agreement.
Again, I have to ask, is he talking about the millions of dollars that the House Oversight Committee are investigating that came from a source in China? You know, the millions of dollars that was sent to his family members? Yeah, that. Former President Donald Trump was super quick to jump in on this mistake because, let's face it, it was a pretty huge one.
And I watched Joe Biden yesterday in the halls of Parliament, Canadian Parliament, this beautiful Parliament, and there's Trudeau with his beautiful wife, and they're sitting there laughing and laughing. They think it's so great because they pulled the wool over his eyes. The deals they made for that guy, I would never have made those deals. I would never. But I watched Joe Biden say, I'd like to thank China. And he's in Canada. And then he goes, oh, because they start screaming at him. The entire room starts laughing. I'd like to thank China. But he's in Canadian Parliament. He said, I mean Canada. The whole place was laughing. They're laughing in our country. We don't want anyone to laugh. Nobody laughed at our country when I ran it, I can tell you that.
Any thoughts on this back and forth? Someone else who's not happy with President Biden is Senator Joe Manchin. In an article from the Wall Street Journal, Manchin says that he was betrayed by the president, saying this about the Inflation Reduction Act. Quote, instead of implementing the law as intended, unelected ideologues, bureaucrats, and attendees seem determined to violate and subvert the law to advance a partisan agenda that ignores both energy and fiscal security. Specifically, they are ignoring the law's intent to support and expand fossil energy and are redefining domestic energy to increase clean energy spending to potentially deficit-breaking levels, end quote. Do you guys agree with the senator? Now, speaking of agreeing, do you agree that some people are getting way too comfortable with AI? I think so, since a court in India asked counsel from GPT-4, ChatGPT's latest update, and supposedly platforms at human level. And when asked this question, it was about a murder. Quote, what is the jurisprudence on bail when the assailant assaulted with cruelty? End quote. That was the question that they asked. The program answered that since the crime involves cruelty, the judge may be less inclined to grant bail or may set the bail amount very high to ensure that the defendant appears in court and does not pose a risk to public safety, end quote. And you know what the judge did? They rejected the defendant's bail bid by basing it on the AI's answer. How do you guys feel about this? I hope you guys are paying attention to the direction that we're headed in terms of reliance on AI, and AI is already predicting the future of this person's life here. How do you guys feel about this? I don't know. I think it's kind of scary if you think about it. It's kind of like a surgeon trusting AI using a scalpel. What if that happens? I feel as if it's an accident waiting to happen. And on another note, another accident that's just happened that involves another train derailment. Now this time is in Minnesota. The fires from this train derailment were so huge that nearby residents were told to evacuate their homes. U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has said that there were 14 cars carrying hazardous materials, one of them being ethanol. Now, I mean, guys, I'm at a loss for words. It's another train derailment. How many of these train derailments are we to see until the people who are in charge step in and actually fix these problems? Is this on purpose? Now, I actually have heard some conspiracy theories basically saying, hey, some of these train derailments are taking place because they want to create a situation where the land is so toxic that the people can't live there. And then at that point, companies can access the very valuable minerals that are under the ground. I don't know how true this is, but it makes a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, they have got to address this somehow. But I feel as if, maybe we're going to see more before they actually do anything. I mean, just look at Kentucky, where 2 Army Black Hawk helicopters collided during recent training exercises. And it's been confirmed that multiple people died in the accident. Now, I'm praying for everyone that's affected by this. It is truly heartbreaking to see this kind of stuff, especially when it's happening all around us. And you guys deserve to know the truth. But what are your thoughts on today's updates? And you know what else is true? Our hardships and difficulties in trying to maneuver through the economic nightmare that many of us are in right now. There are those who owe more on credit cards this year than they've ever had in their entire lives. There are more first-time guests who are forced to visit food banks. There are those who receive Social Security, SSI, SSDI, who have had some of their other benefits like SNAP and EBT cut due to the increase on their 2023 Social Security increases. And then there's also small businesses that are closing up. There's layoffs. Layoffs are now becoming much more common, and it's now the norm that, bigger companies are looking to save a quick buck. But what can we do? Now, some are investing in gold. For the best way to invest in gold, there's a link in the description down below, but others are also picking up on side hustles. They're looking for ways to increase their income. I'm glad you guys are here because there are a couple of opportunities that we should talk about. There's investments that you could possibly get into, be it in the stock market, real estate, even gold. That's a smart option. But what about cash flow? There's also side hustles and small businesses, home-based businesses with many tax advantages. I mean, heck, many families are actually putting their kids to work and are employing their children. Very smart move. But these are all capable of generating multiple streams of income. Although, of course, you're going to need a little push to get started, So if you're interested in these types of discussions and learning more, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. That's where we talk about many of these topics. The road to financial freedom is not easy, but it's also not impossible. Now, before I go, guys, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video and subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate you guys watching. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you on the next one.